All right. Good morning, everyone from New Zealand, and good evening from the UK. My name is Logan, your host for Strom Down Under or Strom New Zealand podcast, and I'm here with Matt. May I'll pass some you, Matt, just to give a little bit of a background on you, a little introduction, and then we'll get cracking into it.
Well, the first thing I have to do, apparently, my wife said, is apologize for the state of me. I'm a little bit under the weather. I've got prep blues and I'm a little bit ill. So I had to apologize. I've tried to make myself look as as nice as possible. But yeah, so I am Matt Tofton. I'm part of Strom UK, the OG, I guess. Um, I Well, now I get to introduce myself as a professional bodybuilder. So I won my pro card of the
Yeah, you
weekend.
do.
Yeah, me and my wife own a gym here in the UK, Muscle Flex. Um, Also a coach. Um, Mainly Gen Pop, to be honest. Just sort of always where I've found myself, even though my knowledge is very bodybuilder
Bodybuilding,
sort of
yeah.
centric. I think the way the coaching world works, there's just like the population's only a very small percentage of bodybuilders to normal folk. So yeah, but I do prep people as well for shows. But yeah, I've got mainly sort of lifestyle people with some very good competitive bodybuilders actually.
Do
Well,
you
females, males, and
do you find it easier coaching? I used to coach a while ago. I kind of pulled back from that as the competitive side at times did my head in a little bit with competitive bodybuilding. Do you find there's quite a contrast and difference between Gen Pop and competitive bodybuilders?
I mean, I think there's a spectrum in both demographics. I think people sort of normally ask me about my sort of coaching style and how it differs with the lifestyle and the gen pop, and it is mainly sort of my own attitude towards them. If you're a competitive bodybuilder, I expect stuff to be done. Like we've got a deadline, a goal. Why are you messing about? If a lifestyle client comes to me and they've had a pizza on Saturday night, I'm not coming down on them like a ton of bricks saying,
Doesn't
"What are you
phase you.
playing at?" Also, explain that there's consequences, but at the same time, these people don't want to live like monks, and that side can be more rewarding. But then you're also going to get the lifestyle people that just think because they're paying a coach money, it's all going to happen, and there's no actual sort of job to do their own side. And
Yeah,
then I think on the flip side, depending on the caliber of the competitor, you got some people that a monkey could prep. Yeah, you just point them in the direction, but you know that they're gonna do it. And then you have some people that you question why they're even doing it because you're almost having to convince them and get them just to stick to the plan. I think maybe once you've earned your stripes and you've worked yourself to the top of the coaching tree, maybe you don't have that worry. Everyone that comes to you is there for a reason to win. So I think where I am, you're going to have people that come to you that like the idea of competing, but still their mindset isn't, I will do anything to win. And like they're going to cheat on their diet. See, I think it depends very much on what clients you have as to whether it's very frustrating or not. But I
that
always
makes
try
sense.
and
Yeah,
provide.
I was just gonna say I have the same. When I used to coach, I always found it difficult with when you're a competitive bodybuilder yourself and you know the standard that you need to be at. And if someone says to you, "Oh, I want to win, a local show, then I want to win nationals and win my pro card," you try to explain like every step is a little bit, a level up and expectations is higher. And I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, holding a lot of water. I've made adjustments to my protocol on my own side," and then you go, "Oh, you know what? Have you been following the plan and your diet?" And they go, "No, I've had like 4 cheat meals this week," and it's like, "Oh, maybe it was the cheat meals, not the protocol as such." That was probably the frustrating piece for me. It's like when you're deep in competitive bodybuilding yourself, you're just like, I know what it takes, and then they're not quite to your level, and I'm sure you've experienced the same.
Yeah, I think we try and set good standards, and then when people don't, I mean, I see people like clients training, and I'm just like, come on, like try,
Yeah,
like let's put some effort in, like yeah. So it can be, I think, unless you are, I was going to say in the fortunate position, but I think you earned that position over the years of just coaching people that will literally just run through brick walls. Like whether they're sticking to their diet or not is not even going to come up in conversation. They are. Whereas you have some people that's a genuine concern, like are they doing the plan? Are they? So I think,
and we can
especially
always tell.
now, bodybuilding has become such a participation sport as opposed to like everybody wants to have a go. Um, the idea of getting on stage in sparkly pants and bikinis and things like that is very appealing. And a lot of people get into it without really realizing what has to go into it. And it gets at 16 weeks out when they go, oh, I'm hungry. Like, well, you got a long way to
It's going to
go.
get worse. Yeah, it's going to get worse. What would your advice be? I always say to people, do your first couple shows naturally. The reason I give that advice is more of like seeing, can you adhere to a diet, a strict regimen before you start adding in, things that are going to affect your health long run. What would your main advice be to someone that, comes to you now? And I think the barrier to entry nowadays is so much easier, especially, you got like Fit Model these days, which I still try and wrap my head around what is this class, and, obviously the novice classes. But yeah, what would your advice be to someone that, wants to give it a crack?
I don't know what it's like in New Zealand, but to be able to give that sort of advice, you're going to have to get someone probably at the age of 16 because the amount, like, if most people, I mean, most people come to me and say, I started this a month ago, and then they want to hire you. And you think, if you knew you were going to hire a coach, why did you start anything? Like, you don't even know what it is. Some people message me and say, oh, I've just started using this. What is it? And you
Yeah.
think, oh, but
What's
the
the
amount
doses?
of
What's
sort of
the, yeah.
consultations and applications that I've had where people come to it and they're, oh, I'm 4 weeks into taking all these drugs. And I think, well, now we've either got to undo a lot of stuff, or we continue with the silly stuff that you're doing. So I think in a perfect world, yes, find your feet and learn to love training because I think people use drugs to paper over cracks
Yeah.
and they'll come off the drugs and then they'll realize that and they'll think, oh, I can't keep my gains. And it's like, well, no, it's because everything else is not set up to
Hmm.
be correct. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
in a perfect world, everyone should learn the fundamentals, learn to train and actually enjoy it, learn to eat,
Yeah. This. Yeah.
learn all that side of things, and then introduce drugs if they want to. Like I've never recommended drugs to a client. If I've got a natural client, it would have to be their idea. They'd have to start that this because I just don't feel comfortable saying, have you thought about using this? I think I've actually held clients back, not held them back, but they've wanted to do stuff but never actually said it to me.
Yeah.
And they've been waiting for me to say it, but that's just something that I don't feel comfortable doing. If they come to me and they're already using drugs or they want advice on drugs, then yeah, they'll get it. But I will never suggest to a natural person, oh, you should start using drugs now if you want to compete.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a prerequisite of competing. You don't need to use drugs. If you want to be Mr. Olympia, you need to use drugs. But
Yeah. Yeah.
there's levels and conversations to be had. But yeah, I definitely think the fundamentals is great, but the amount when do we ever actually get approached by people either with a clean slate or most people are coming to you because they've probably fucked up somewhere or they've done some silly stuff in the past and they want to learn. But yeah, I think it's very rare that you get someone. I mean, I've had it. I've had people that come natural, they learn, and then a couple of years down the line they want to do it. But I think it's just I think it's very rare these days.
Yeah, I think the issue we find in New Zealand, I don't know if UK is the same, is most people, they'll step into the gym and the first thing they do is start drugs, and it's before they even know, what does a split look like? How should I be training? What's intensity? They just start the drug straight away, and you can see it in their physique and the side effects that they have, all that, and how they show up on stage. It's because they can't diet, they can't train, but they think the drugs are gonna get them to that point, and it's like, yeah, no, it's just not going to happen. Like, even the genetic elites diet and train hard. They can't not. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm assuming UK is probably the same.
Yeah, I think there's some people that probably get the drugs before the gym membership.
Yeah,
They'll probably go,
yeah,
right, and they get their advice from the person selling them the drugs generally. So they get the drugs and then, oh, right, I best join the gym. Or they join the gym with a friend who's been going to the gym for 6 months and he's done 3 months on Dianabol. And then, and it just sort of, and the blind leading the blind type thing. But I think we have a huge problem with that in the UK. And these are people that they will never compete. They have no ambitions of competing. They're just sort of recreational steroid users, I think. Monday to Friday, they're in the gym on steroids. And then at the weekend, it's cocaine and
they're drinking.
alcohol.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like,
We
and
have the
I
same.
think yeah, that's a bigger problem than I think people that actually want to use drugs to compete.
Yeah, I
Like, I think
agree.
there's
I
far
agree
more
because
people that
yeah, I was just going to say most of the people who do understand what they need to use also look at their health aspects these days. Like that's when I started 2014, blood pressure monitoring and all that wasn't really a thing anyone talked about. You didn't talk about just the basics of that and like blood glucose monitoring, and then, what are the health supplements you can take. And I think back then, the most we knew about was probably NAC. And that was kind of like, oh, you got to take NAC, and that's all we kind of know. Obviously, things are a lot different these days, especially with Strom and all
it
that.
was
But
Live 52.
yeah,
The old, don't worry, I've done some orals. Yeah, have some Live 52. You'll be all right.
yeah, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. So maybe we take to your kind of early days, because I've watched you over the years, and I think one of the most interesting things, and when we talk about training, is you used to follow a lot of the progressive overload style of training. I feel like you're more similar to me, where it it got to a point where it was kind of daunting to train. Like I remember I was doing, heavy deadlifts of like 340 plus, and I was like, oh shit, this is getting to a point where it's quite scary, and I didn't like that feeling of being nervous to train. I'm interested to see, how your training approach has changed over the years, and did you gain back enjoyment to the gym? Because I sort of lost it to an extent.
Yeah, so I mean, when I started training sort of properly, or what I'd like to class as sort of properly in terms of actually attending the gym regularly. Um, so that was when I went to university. So 2008, I I started training pretty much every day whilst at university. Obviously, I was out drinking several times a week. The diet wasn't there, but the the uh, the training was there, and it was very pro Flex magazine type stuff. You go in and you just pyramid up. There was no plan. There was no. It was, oh, let's see if we can do that today. Like, you get some dumbbell presses and you go and you warm up with the 20 kilos, and you do the 30s and then the 35s, and then if you're feeling strong and everyone your mates there, and you just keep
Got
working
pyramid
up,
up.
and
Yeah.
there's no real plan, but it's nice and fun. It was sort of body part split. The one thing I've never neglected a body part, um, which is why I believe my physique's always been quite balanced. I've never had, you see guys that they'll spend their first 3 years not training legs or not training back, and it's t-shirt muscles, and then they're forever trying to catch up. I've always grown quite proportionately, and I think it's because I have always done sort of we trained legs and we trained back, and I pretty much trained like that all the way. I first competed in 2012, so 4 years training with just sort of that approach, really going in and enjoying training and enjoying the gym. Drugs came into it in when I was 20, so it was the end of. So I'd always said that I'd never used drugs until I got in shape. So the summer of 2009. So I'd probably been training. So we started in like I've done other bits. Like I initially started because I used to play football, soccer over there. I don't know what it's classed in New Zealand.
All the same.
So I used to play at a good level, and when I finished school, I had a chance to move into semi-professional football. But obviously, it's fully grown. Going from children's football to fully grown men, I wasn't athletic enough. So
Yeah.
I sort of so that would have been about 2005 that I actually started like dabbling with weight training and that was sort of on and off. But it wasn't until 2008 when I went to university that trained all the way through, and then it was the following summer I did my first diet and I got in really, really good shape. I was 11 stone, but I was shredded. Um, and then it was that summer that I decided, because the gym we were at, it was full of proper bodybuilders, and it was drugs, and you were surrounded by it. So it was very difficult to not do it. But I said I would never do it until I got myself in shape. So prove that I can diet and all that type of stuff. So I got myself in shape, and then that year when I went back to university, I decided to do some drugs. Old Iranian test.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I know. Well,
I think I did 500 milligram a week for 12 weeks. I mean, I don't even touch that much testosterone now.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, but then my like training wise, it's pretty much stayed the same. And then competed in 2012 as a junior. I won my first show to prep myself for. Um, and then it was 2013 that I um, hired JP as a coach,
Okay.
and my training was totally changed towards it was DC style training, so logbooking, and it was all new to me and very exciting, and that was where I was introduced to that. And then that stayed. So I'm in 2013, and then I trained like that until 2000, end of 2018, the start of 2019. Yeah, and I used to just go after every single training session, logbooking, beat the logbook, no matter what. Like, gotta beat the logbook. And like you said, to the point where people are saying, "Oh, if training doesn't scare you, or if your logbook doesn't scare you, then you're not." I agree that training should be. It should be. Oh God, this is going to be a difficult session. But when you're doing your first warm up set on the hack squat and your knees, and you're thinking, just don't pop. That's not fear of. That's not to me. Oh, this is going to be a hard set. Because even
That's
now,
the
like,
fear of your body breaking.
like yeah, I'll have exercise. I'm like, fucking hell, this is going to be a hard set. But it's a different type of not
Hard.
fear as such. It's just knowing that this is going to be hard. But yeah, when you're doing warm ups, and you're just thinking, don't break, please don't break. And when you feel like that in your warm ups, and it never gets any nicer as you just move up the weight, to me, that is not bodybuilding.
Agreed.
And when
Yeah.
you're just moving through, in terms of progressive overload, people were just going from progressively overloading their ply of their reps. Right, we'll do single ply, double ply, and then people are on triple ply knee sleeves, and you think,
What's the point?
why? You
Yeah.
just that's just bouncing you up. Oh, but it's all right. I get to tick the logbook off. And I was fully immersed in it, and I was lost. And then I think I call it the light bulb moment for me. I'm sure there was several, but the one moment, my first gym that I owned, we bought a Mark 1 Cybex leg press. So the Dorian Yates leg press.
OG.
And I remember doing a set with 500 kilos on there. And I thought, well, in Blood and Guts, Dorian Yates doesn't have this much weight on it. And I don't look anything like Dorian Yates. So something is amiss. And that's when I really, really started to question everything and look critically at my training and just step back, like rather than looking at things so close and through a keyhole, thinking you must get, because this was just all sort of being thrown at you. You've got to get stronger. You've got to do this. It's the only way to grow. And I just zoomed out and actually started to use my brain for a little bit. And I thought, this isn't right. I don't feel like I'm growing that well. To look like what I want to look like, if I have to get stronger from this point, what am I going to have to lift to look like a professional bodybuilder? Because at that point, I don't think I did. Like I was in 2018. I mean, I was winning overalls. I had a nice physique, but I was 200 pounds. And I'm thinking, if I want to be 220, 230,
240
but
plus,
I'm already using, and my self-belief and everything I'm being told is that I have to get stronger. I feel like I'm going to break in half now. So
it's so interesting that is the concept these days, because like, you can use Phil Heath, for example. I know he's a genetic freak, but he was never super strong, and the way he could connect to weights and the way you watch him train, you're like, people go, I can do that. But if you see how his muscles fire and you're going, but you can't connect the way he does, and you can't, and you can't go in there and go, I've done 20 sets. And, I look at those guys and I'm going, there's like, yes, they've got genetics, but there's a reason why they're as big as they are. And it's exactly the same as you. Like, I was just going to say, I had the same thing. I was deadlifting and warming up, and I only had 60 kilos on the bar, and I tore my MCL. And it just went like that, like pinged. And I was like, shit, I've done 340, I've done 350, and I was just warming up like any other day, and my knees were so battered. And I just remember shifting my foot a little bit, and it just popped. And I was like, nice. Like, there goes my MCL. Likely it wasn't major, but it was enough for me to go, screw this, I'm not doing this shit. But yeah, back to you as you.
I mean, even I think the Phil Heath sort of point, if you told Phil Heath to go, right, you're going to warm up in single reps to your 6-rep max, he would far outlift probably anyone in the gym because it's there. But like when you see these people on Instagram, they go, oh, new PB, and it just looks uncomfortable. It looks like they're using every inch of their body. Whereas you watch a Lee Priest, a Phil Heath, even when Ronnie Coleman's got 200-pound dumbbells in each hand, it moves like it's nothing.
Moves.
Like if he lifted like these people on Instagram, it would be double that. But people think, oh, well, Ronnie lifted heavy, so I've got to lift heavy. And it's like, yeah, but if he lifted like you did, that was just necessary for him because he's such a freak. It wasn't like I actually think it's a curse for some bodybuilders to be so strong. It's like that's even when he's doing everything in his power, being super controlled and all that, to probably lift. Like when people say, "Oh, I'm turning this 10-kilo dumbbell into 30," like he's probably doing that with 200-pound dumbbells. But that's just what just because it looks super and it is crazy strong, don't get it twisted that you need to be doing 200-pound dumbbells. You need to be
Yeah.
doing his version of 200-pound dumbbells, which is super controlled reps with a weight that takes you to failure in that desired rep range. Like
And
that
maybe
might
that's
only be
100.
30-kilo dumbbells for someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think you see that with Nick Walker these days, the way he's changed his training. And, because I remember watching him when he was coming up and he was doing 200-pound dumbbells and all that. And you don't see him doing that these days, and he's bigger than he's ever been. So it's just like, well, there's a method and a reason why, they're not injured and they're not, you know, complaining about their elbows and their knees and their back and all these things. And I think that was the thing for me was like, when you get home from training, you should be exhausted, you should be tired, but you shouldn't be getting home and going, shit, I need to put some ice on my knees. I need to put some DPs on my elbows. I can't sleep because my back is sore and all that. That's my kind of view on it.
Yeah, no, that's the exact sort of shift that I had, and dropped the logbook, and even now, like I just don't see the point in a logbook. I
Yeah.
think it requires effort, and if you need to write it down on a bit of paper to train at the effort required, I think that's the problem. Like that's what you need to look at. If
Yep.
I said, right, if that logbook wasn't present, would you have trained any less today with any less effort? And if the answer is yes, that's not the logbook. That's you. That's a you problem. And if the answer is no, I'd have trained exactly the same, it's why do you need a book then?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I,
we
I,
get
I say to people, it's just
I,
like, I was just going to say, I say to people, like, have a structured plan, like, understand what movements you should be doing to bring up the body parts you need to bring up. And, Zach does my training plans and, he's about progressive overload, but in a different way, where it's like, we don't do anything lower than 6 reps. Like, it's like, you know, 6 to 10, 10 to 12, well, 8 to 12, 12 to 15. And I'm doing it. I'm like, man, this brings me back to when I was young and it was fun. And it was going in there and I'm like, shit, I just spent an hour plus on chest and I'm fucking battered and tired. And that was fun to me. And now, like, you go from this and push pull legs is fine. Like, it's cool. I still do versions of that. But, there was a point of like, shit, I've only done 2 exercises for my chest. Like, surely I might need a little bit more than that. Like, it might not be quite enough, but yeah, it's very funny. It's interesting how philosophies change over the times. How is I guess, your approach to protocols, diet, nutrition as well evolved over the years?
in terms of nutrition, I think nutrition has been very straightforward for me. The thing is, every prep's different.
Yeah,
I very much believe in on the most decent food sources. The whole sort of, I think for the way I sort of describe it is like calories in, calories out is scale change, up or down, like whatever. Then if you then want to consider actually body composition, you then need to start looking at sort of how those calories are split, your protein, like your macros. And then when you're trying to maximize composition, health, performance, the food choices then matter. Um, so I think a lot of people just get caught up in with weight loss and calories and MyFitnessPal and yeah, and it's like, yeah, but is it good weight? Is it shit weight? You don't really know. And I think for some people, macros will get them there if they want to be flexible with their dieting and sort of enjoy food. Maybe I don't believe in if it fits your macros, like don't just eat shit. I
no,
think,
yeah,
but a flexible approach, but with
using
sound
similar foods.
choices. But
Yeah,
then I think as a competitive bodybuilder, set structured meal plan, Groundhog Day, that's where you make the most progress with.
agreed. Unless you're
And
a John Jewett.
as best as
food
you can,
is
sort of single ingredient foods. I'm one of these people that you need like cut out all processed because everything's processed these days. But yeah, I think make sure you're getting plenty of fruits, berries, vegetables. I think that's where the magic happens.
agreed. Yeah, I remember when I was coming up and fruit was a forbidden word in a prep. It was like, no, you can't have berries, you can't have these. And then you get older and you start understanding macros and micronutrients and going, shit, on 100 grams of berries, there's not a lot of carbs. There's like 10
Drink
grams of
loads.
carbs.
Berries are great for dieting.
Yeah, and it will keep you full. So it's just like, yeah, I look at these things and I find it funny because I remember I don't eat fish anymore because one prep all I did was eat fish and I'm like I can't stand it. Like I'm like it's just like
Oh,
I'll
you
have
gotta
it
get
now
that
and
thin
then.
skin.
Oh yeah, the fish fins the skin or the you'll know the UK bloke the fish in the rice cake.
Oh, fishy rice cake, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I find that and then it's interesting how I see a lot of those guys now who still sort of stick to the same diets of those are the ones who are leaning into the GLPs now. So they're using like GLPs to kind of blunt appetite. And I'm like, well, you can use a lot more fibrous food to do the same. You can keep yourself full to do the same. And
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to using anything as bodybuilding. Like, do whatever the heck you want to win. Um, it's what we do. But I also think there's other ways, and I'm interested in your opinion. If your opinion's the same, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm very when I talk to clients, I often talk about sort of strategic food choices. So when food is mega high, we don't want to be eating loads of mashed white potato, right? Because it's just gonna, like I always say, in the off season, air fryer because it reduces the potato, like just little things like that. And then like when you're dieting, yeah, boil it, mash it, but like it's gonna give you. Um, I'm not opposed to people using like some cereals and things like that, like in the off
yeah,
season. Um, Always, as long as there's a sound nutritional baseline, then sometimes anything you build on top of that, you're thinking, right, I need this to digest well, sit nice, because we all know what it's like in off season. You can't, if someone just tries to eat like 5 meals of pasta, you're gonna
yeah,
feel like shit. But then when you start dieting, I mean, I've done it where you've removed 100 grams of cooked rice and replaced it with 100 grams of green beans. Like now you're pulling a big chunk of carbs down, you're adding some fiber, you're adding same almost volume. It's not like anything's missing, but calories are. Um, but yeah, I see people that will still want their cocoa pops.
it's crazy.
They're on 100 grams of carbs a day. 50 grams of those carbs are post workout, and they'll have their cocoa pops and then moan that they're hungry. And you think,
Yeah,
just
I'd be starving. Yeah. I'd go insane. I'd be like, oh, geez, this. But I see it as well. And then those people, and probably the same in the UK, those people are normally the ones that have sugar-free syrups and sauces on everything they eat because they can't differentiate or they need that, they crave that. And my advice to clients when I used to coach was just like, yeah, make your food nice, but don't overcomplicate it to a point where all you're thinking about is that one meal because that's going to drive you insane every single day. It's like it should be palatable. You should be able to eat it, but it gets to a point, when in prep where you're like, salt is your friend, and you're like, I just want salt in my chicken and rice. I don't really care. So I try and get people to just rein it in a bit on those sauces and all that. That to me leads to cheating and binging and eating off plan.
yeah. I mean, I've seen people that they just try and suck every meal. Everything becomes a baked good. Like, oh, I'm making protein balls. What do you mean you're making protein balls? Oh, well, I'm getting my way and getting some oats, and I'm like, what? Why? Like, why are you trying to make everything seem like a treat? Because, like you say, that's when they come undone. I've never seen anyone do that and then have a successful diet. Because if everything needs to feel like it's a sweet or a treat or some shitty food, they'll never get over that hurdle.
No,
So
you
I
see
think
it
it
with
just it can be done, but I think the mindset of those type of people, it will never be done.
yeah. The only person I've seen who can do it is probably that Jordan Hutchinson guy. He is the only one because I have not seen anyone actually get in peeled shape and win shows outside of him because everyone else,
What does he
they
eat?
do these. Pardon?
What does he eat?
He does like the Ninja Creamies, oh, all his meals have got like the Flavor Gang sauces and everything all over them, and he makes protein waffles for his breakfast, and like it's absurd to me. I look at it, I'm like, I won the effort to do that. I'm like, I could not be asked.
Yeah.
But he's the only one I do it, and at sometimes that I also look and going, geez, I wish you wouldn't show people this because they feel like they can do it, but they don't have your discipline and understanding of like macronutrients and going like, hey, I can do it this way. Um, that was always my concern. But yeah, if you watch his stuff, you'd be like, oh yeah, I couldn't do it. Yeah, I'd go insane.
Well, I instantly got my back up with their Ninja Creamies anyway because it claims like it's like an ice cream maker, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. But then you've got to freeze stuff for 24 hours. I was like, nah, if I can't
Yeah,
have a meal within 10 minutes, I'm not
I
interested.
don't want it.
I'm not preparing a meal 24 hours in advance.
Nah.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll
and
put
also
this in the fridge for my ice cream or the freezer for my ice cream later.
the thing I laugh at it as well is like, I don't know if you're like me. My body changes pretty quickly in prep. Like it changes daily.
Yeah.
With my last prep, I coached myself because I needed that much attention to detail of going, okay, I need to pull carbs down. And like, if you're prepping meals a day in advance, I'm like, well, shit, I can't have that now because things have changed today. So it's just like, I couldn't be asked with it. I'm like, nah, it's not my thing. Um, what for you? I guess, we go for like your highlight moment. Obviously this year, I was pretty happy to see you get that card finally. And what would you say is the biggest change for this year? I know you've talked a lot about, I think his name is Christian, as your coach, correct?
Yeah. So Christian Chapman, my coach. I've known Christian a long time. Christian's part of Strom UK. And I mean, that just started with, we were just at a show, what, 16 weeks ago now? Just bumped into him, was just chatting to him. I had no intention of competing this year. So, and he was just talking and he just told me what he thought I needed to do for what type of look to go for at my next show. And it was a look from 2018, a show there. And they were the thoughts I was already having. I go on stage and I'm generally full, big, round, and I needed to really, really dial the conditioning.
Yeah, PPL.
Like, I mean, compete in shape, but I'm talking about like, holy shit, what's that shape, condition? And the fact that he had the same vision as I
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
that sort of piqued my interest. And then I just sent him a message a few days later and I was like, who have you got in this show in 7 weeks? And he was like, wow, I said, oh, I think I might. And he didn't think I'd be ready in 7 weeks. But yeah, he said he was, we just cracked on. Like for me, I mean, I've been bodybuilding a long time. I don't need, like, my knowledge of bodybuilding and drugs and all that, I'd say is pretty good. Don't need to be taught a lot of things. But my biggest problems, probably overthinking, self-doubt, self-criticism. I don't actually like competing, and I'll try and not self-sabotage, but I'll try and talk myself out of shows the closer I get to them. the competition side of shows has never. I've
In
never
your
enjoyed
interest.
show day. I've never enjoyed the management of show day. I get if everything doesn't run perfect, like back in the day, if everything doesn't run perfectly, I lose my shit. So when you go to
Yeah.
tanning and tanning's 30 minutes late, and you think to yourself, "Well, I should be eating now, but I'm still getting tanned." Then registration, and they can't. I've been stood at the front of queues at registration. They're right because I know I need to be here because in 20 minutes I need to be doing this, and then in 20 minutes I need to be doing that. And then they've said, I've been at the front of the queue. They've gone right, junior bodybuilders first. I'm like, whoa! Like I've been studying and just stuff like that, just sending me sideways. And I was terrible. I know show day never goes to plan. Like no shows ever run on time. Everything,
You
and
know
I
what?
knew I needed to manage that better.
You know what's crazy though? Like, I know we say that, like they'll never run on time, but they bloody should be.
Oh
You
yeah, they
know,
should. Yeah.
like I I've been competing in New Zealand since 2013, 2014. I took a bit of a break in between, focused on work and all that, and came to this year competing, and it was the same as 10 years ago. I'm like, I remember one show I did. Prejudging for me was 9 a.m. in the morning. Finals, after they finally decided that we were going to go on stage, was 11:30 at night. And then the feedback to me was, "Oh, you needed to be fuller." And then I said to them, "Well, it's hard to be fuller, over 12 hours later when you've run out of food. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to do that." So yeah, but yeah, but sorry to interrupt. Back to the
No.
Christian approach, because yeah,
So yeah, I mean that's always sort of been my sort of major sort of ham. And Christian is so good at man management type thing. Um, he's your hype man without blowing smoke up your ass. He won't lie to you. He won't tell you that you're better than you are. But if you're having a bad day, he picks you up. He is on you. Like I mean, we checked in every day, every single day of prep for 15 weeks. Um, sometimes multiple times, and he would be on it, always full of energy. Like you can, if even if you're having a shit day, the energy he brings just makes you want to go and nail your diet, nail your training. Like you just, and if I didn't want to do it for me, I wanted to do it for him. So just that, he just brought something. He let me get out of my own way. There was no doubts or anything. We'd chat back and forth, but every time he made a decision, it was like, yeah, there was not one decision he made that I thought, I don't think that's the right call. So that
yeah,
also helps. You're not thinking, oh, I'd have done something different, or I'd have done this, or I'd have done that. And so it was a prep with absolutely zero conflict within my brain. Yeah, it was just so relaxed and fun. And I think that counts for a lot more than people give it credit for. Like when you like bodybuilding
you're just
is my life. It's a huge part of my life. If my bodybuilding isn't going well, the rest of my life generally doesn't go well. So when my bodybuilding is fun and I'm enjoying that, everything else around me is better anyway, but then my progress is better. So yeah, it was just a prep spent just enjoying. And I mean, even this last weekend, I was looking forward to competing for the first time ever, 13 years. We went to Milan, and it wasn't necessarily about, oh, I'm looking forward to getting on stage. It was just the whole sort of event and meeting
process.
up with Christian at the airport, and not felt like a lads' weekend away, but it sort of did. Like there was me, Christian, and Liam, which is Christian's photographer, and we just had a laugh. Like on show day, I'd have almost forgot. Oh shit, I've actually got to go and do a show. Like it was just a good time. Well, that's
Do
how
you find
every day of prep felt.
do you find because of that you've now learned how to? Because I always say like, uh, how do I say explain this? Like some people are so locked in and tunnel visioned that they forget. there's life outside of what you're doing in a competitive world and competitive bodybuilding. Do you find now that like you're able to balance that a bit better and actually enjoy the process now because of this prep?
I've always enjoyed the process. The process is always like, that's the bit that I love. It's the competing side of things I don't. So the day-to-day of bodybuilding, yes. But what I mean is, like, we all go through our moments of, no matter how much you love bodybuilding, we all have spells where you're not enjoying it. You turn up to the gym and it's, what am I doing here? I don't really want to be here. I think we all sort of go through them periods.
Yeah.
But and my life is very settled to be around bodybuilding. Like my wife's a PCA pro. We own a gym. Our job is coaching. So it's not
You can't escape it.
like I don't need balance with a social life and things like that, because this is
Mhm.
like my social life is when I go to the gym and see people at the gym. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think what I meant by balance was not so much of the social aspect, but more of like if I take myself for example, I competed, it's 5 weeks ago now, and I had my best mates come up and stay with me the night before, and then they were checking on me the morning of the show, and we're doing photos, and then we're just having a laugh and all that, and then I'll say, "Ah, shit, I
yeah,
gotta go get tanned. I'm gonna I'm
yeah,
gonna go show up to the show," and then I was like, "Ah, I'll do whatever pose routine. I don't really care." And then we are just chilling and enjoying the moment. I felt so relaxed that I was like, "Yeah, I love the process and all this, but this has made the actual stage time fun for me." That's probably
yeah.
more of
Like
what
I
I.
say, I think that's what I experienced. Like even when we were leaving, I think we were leaving tanning last Friday. Because I think I'd eaten 2 meals in the morning, and then Christian was like, "Oh, you're going to take a meal with you?" I was like, "Nah, well, I won't need to." I said, "We're back at this time." And he was like, "Oh, it probably won't be." And it dragged on forever. And it was about 5 o'clock, and we were driving back, and Christian turned to me and said, "God, it's really nice to be in the car with a bodybuilder who's not bothered about his next meal." And I didn't like, in the past, I'd have been, if I don't eat at 2:05, I think learning that it doesn't matter. If your meal's 20 minutes late or 30 minutes late, or you have it in 2 hours' time, it doesn't really matter.
It
I
doesn't
think
make a
people,
difference.
the ones that get so caught up, and I have learned that over the years and things like managing show days, and even just through the day today, like I haven't got an alarm on my phone, like it's meal time, and if you miss that meal, the world will end. Whereas I think I've probably been there in the past, and I know lots of other bodybuilders that are like that. Whereas,
Yeah,
and then if one thing is missed, that's it. All the gains are gone. What's the point? Prep's ruined. So yeah, I think as I've got older, I've definitely learned to realize that the the minutia of bodybuilding isn't necessarily, some is, but in terms of like, oh, having your meal at 3 o'clock as opposed to 2 o'clock, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. As long as the food's sort of good. Or even just going, right, I'll just stick those 2 meals together. It might not be great for digestion, but as a one-off, it's not like, oh, I need everything has to be 3 hours apart or this or that. And if it's not perfect, then it won't add up to, like, it all just goes in and still does its
uh,
thing.
it doesn't matter. Like I'm the same as you. It's like I think those people is like how do you do anything else outside your life? Like if you have a proper job, right? And I work international hours, so sometimes my days start at 5 in the morning. Sometimes they have to start at 10. Um, that's because of job, and that's what pays the bills, that puts a roof over my head. So and if I can still do it like that, I look at people and I go, you don't have to be to the second to eat. Like it really does not matter at all, as long as you get your food in for the day. Like that's what I try and preach to people. I guess my next question for you, and we'll wrap up soon, but what's your next plans? Like where do you see yourself going now? Won your pro card.
I mean, as a joke, today I applied for the Arnold Classic.
UK or
So I did actually, just obviously there's the UK Arnold Classic, and Last year's Arnold Classic, my friend Sasan Harai,
Yeah, it is.
he applied for the Arnold Classic and they rejected him.
That's
And
wild. Yeah.
it got to the show, and I think in the last 2 weeks, like 4 or 5 people pulled out.
Pulled up. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there was about 7 or 8 people on stage. And it's an Arnold Classic, and it was dead.
Yeah.
I may have pointed that out in the email that I sent to them. I said, look, I 100% expect a no. I know it will be a no. But I just said, like, if you don't ask, you don't get. Like, as a UK bodybuilder, I just won my pro card. Last year, loads of people pulled out, and it was dead. Why don't you fill them spaces with some homegrown UK bodybuilders?
Yeah. Well, it's no real cost and expense to them. It's just filling the show up. Because, we had a pro show here, and I think they had 5 or 6 people in the
Yeah, it's
classic.
rubbish.
And it's just like, and yeah, that's 2 of them were good, like really good. You're like, okay, 2 of them were, it was classic. They were top 15 in the world. But then you're just like, the rest are New Zealand locals, and no disrespect for them, they're good for New Zealand. But when you go to that level, and it's like, shit, there should have been 20 people, and the promoter's like, oh, what's going on? And it's like, well, you announced the show 8 weeks out, so it was like no one really wants to prep for 8 weeks to try and do a pro show and fly to New Zealand. So
Yeah, like I said, I think an Arnold Classic on stage there should be bodies. It should be 15, 16 men deep. So if they're gonna fill it with, like I say, I was just out. It was done as a joke. But to actually answer the question seriously, I want to do a run of pro shows sort of this time next year. I have absolutely zero desire to blow up and be heavy. That was already decided a long time ago that I'll never do like a big heavy off season again. But I will do some form of off season starting probably middle to the end of January. See if we can make some tweaks and refinements. I think one of my biggest sort of, or my weakness, or the thing that lets me down the most is, and it's purely through laziness, is like stomach control, like all that type of thing. I think I mean, I should already be doing this anyway, but I don't. If I dedicate myself to morning routine of abs, vacuums, things like that, stomach control, I don't ever expect to pull like a ridiculous vacuum on stage. But if I can just pull everything in just a little bit tighter,
and
I
hold it.
think I
Yeah.
can create the illusion of adding another 5 pounds of muscle just from having like I have a wide skeleton anyway, but I also have super chunky like obliques. I'd like to just chop them off if I could, but I think if I just a few years ago I actually did every morning I'd do my vacuums. I slept in a waist trainer, trained in my belt, and when I hit like a front double bicep, I could actually have like some kind of concaved appearance to my
Yeah.
midsection. And it really does change the shape. So whilst I'll still try and add some muscle, my biggest sort of goal, I'd like to really try and work on refining the midsection.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've sort of joked about it, but like the pro shows that I want to do ridiculous lineups. So like post Olympia with whole sort of, I'll come last. Like I'm not going there to do anything other than just stand in awe backstage in a pump up room with phenomenal bodybuilders. I want to enjoy it and then retire. I don't want to try and do some tier 3 show and think about breaking the top 5 or the top 10. Or if I was in my late 20s and my early 30s, I'd keep playing the game and maybe think, and have this, if I can just do this or get the right qualifier, you might get a first and you might end up at the Olympia in a few years. I'm too old for that.
Also, I don't think your mindset would be like that though. Anyway, Like, yeah, I think people like to sometimes say, oh, I'd play the game and pick the right show, but some people, it sounds like from you and from what I've heard today is like, even if you could go back in time, you'd probably still want to win a hard show. You'd probably go, that'll put me
Yeah,
in a
I've
deep
never been
liner.
one for. I mean, I've had a lot of people that have said it's about time you won and this and that, and I don't really know what angle they're coming at. Whether they, because I've not actually done loads and loads of pro qualifiers. Like I know some people that say, oh, it's about time, and they've gone across the globe and they've done like 10, 20, 30 pro qualifiers in the last 5, 6 years and sort of chased the pro card. I've never like
Chased it, yeah.
I've done one a year. I've had one attempt a year since 2019. I mean,
Yep.
two of them were Arnold Classics, and then the other two have been like I've always tried to stand. I mean, I don't know whether yeah, I'm saying it. So on Saturday, I didn't actually think I'd won in the overall. I thought I'd come third.
Okay.
So, and I was sort of thinking to myself, yeah, I'm going to go home from Italy and I'm going to have won the supers class, but I didn't really think the supers class was that great.
Mm.
So it was almost like people, I'm going to go home and people go, but at least you won your class. And I think, well,
You'd be like, well, I've done
the
that all the
regional
time.
I did 7 weeks ago where I came fourth was better. And I've always said I'd much prefer to come sixth in an amazing lineup than win a shit lineup. But then I won the overall, and it sort of made it all better. But yeah, in my head, I was like, oh, this isn't really like. Even when I go home, I'm going to be disappointed inside. But people go, oh, but you still won your class, and I'm like
It
no
is funny you
disrespect
say,
to the people I was up against.
yeah,
I just felt like yeah, like I said, I think I've stood in better lineups.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say, it's funny you say that because what we see in New Zealand a lot of the times is someone will win their pro card and then they need 2, 3 years off to compete as a pro. And I've always kind of been against that, where I'm like, maybe you need half a season off and you compete the same time next year. But if you need, a whole another year off to be a pro, then it's like, did you really, not in a disrespectful way, but it's like, did you really win your pro card? That's kind of like how I kind of view it, as like, because we've had people here who've had 4 years off because they're just not big enough, and it's like, and then you see some people who win, and like I like them all, they're all great people, but it's like, if you're mid-70s winning a national overall title in bodybuilding, what are you going to do with it? Like that, you can't, like, unless you go to classic, but then it's like, but then you couldn't win the classic overall. So it's like, well, that's kind of always baffles me. That makes my like head go, I don't get it. Yeah.
I think obviously before, I mean, people say now, oh, it's easy to get a pro card. Like it is not, but there are more opportunities now to get a pro
Yeah.
card. Yes, that's a fair comment. Like back when I first started out and sort of like the UK BFF days, there was one pro card on offer a year in this country. And nothing's really changed besides I think now we have two on offer in this country. But what we do have is the ability to just travel. So it's opened up doors. I don't think it means that
It's easier.
but anyway, so the beauty of becoming the British champion at UK BFF was if you won that, you walk straight into the pro ranks as someone that can compete at that level. Nobody ever needed to take time off to be professional standard or competitive in the pro league. And I fully agree that now we are seeing people win pro cards at shows that maybe the lineups aren't that deep and it's a weaker standard, and if you cannot just go straight in, I'm not saying go and win the Olympia or go and win a pro show, but at least don't look
Be
out of
competitive.
place.
Yeah.
in a professional lineup, then yeah, I think you shouldn't be turning pro. I mean, I had quite a few messages from people saying, oh, it's nice to see someone turn pro that looks like a pro. But I mean, I struggle with that as sort of a self sort of thing. But people are, if people are saying that, they obviously think that there's a lot of people turning pro that they shouldn't be. I mean, but like you made about the 70 kilo guys, that's been a thing in America for so long. Like
It's
when you've
quite
got pro card for a bantamweight, like, well, there's
crazy.
no the pro category was starting at, even when they had a 202, a guy that's 5'8" at 70 kilos isn't going to do anything
No,
forever.
unless you're a Sean Clarida. But again, it took him 12 years of like as a pro working his way to being to who he is today. So like it still took him a long time. Uh, I agree. Like I agree completely. It's just if you look out of place, it's not a spot for you. And that's kind of like when I linked up with Zach, Zach was just like, "You're really balanced. You just need to be bigger everywhere." And I'm like, "Cool. Let's just get bigger everywhere. That's
Yeah.
the best place I need to be." It's not like he constantly says to me, "It's not like we need to bring up one body part. It's just like bring everything up." And I'm like, "Yeah, we can do that," which is a good place to be. And I think a lot of times with these smaller guys as well, it's like they still also have missing body parts, and sometimes they're so small that you don't even know what body part is missing. You're like, I know, you know, is it their back? And then as they fill out, it's like, oh no, your back is a weakness. It's like, so I'm not
Yeah.
the shit on them. That's kind of what we see. We'll wrap up soon, I guess. My last question for you was around your gym side. I know you said you own a gym or owned a couple gyms. How's that side of business for you?
Yeah, I mean the gym side, great. So we well, not just. So last year we've had our gym. Me and my wife have owned Muscle Flex since 2019, and then in 2024 we expanded. Sorry, we so we had a unit that was about 4,000 square feet, um, and it is just all gym kit. There's no, besides a toilet in there, it was just gym floor. Our business models is unstaffed. It's 24 hours. Um, it's run on. There's a lot of trust and things like that. And then we moved to a 12,000 square foot unit. Um, on the same, pretty much just literally 100 yards further down. A unit became available, and yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength. To be honest, we run the same business model. We have capped membership, so at the moment you can't join. And we have around just over 350 members. 24-hour gym at 12,000 square foot. It is dead most of the time,
Yeah,
but it was never there to make us millionaires. Like we could throw loads of people in, but we care more about. I mean, I'm the worst. I'll walk in and there'll be 15 people in there, and I'll think, "Well, it's a bit busy in it, right?" Um,
yeah,
so yeah, the idea is the experience. I never want anyone to walk in and think, "Oh, can't get on anything," and it will probably take 1,000 members for that to ever happen, and we will never get there because, like I say, we've capped
you've
membership.
kept it. Yeah,
I have an obsession with gym kit, um, and it is just
I
the
will.
gym is just rammed full of everything that I can possibly find.
I will need to introduce you to my mate RJ. I don't know if you know who Alessandro is from Italy.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So RJ is the one that basically kitted out his whole gym. Um,
Oh, really?
so I will send you his details. He can find you anything you want, any piece of equipment you want. He can do it. So
Oh, God,
um,
that's not good for me. That.
it's not good, but we're nerds about this stuff. So the gym I train at is his gym. It's a private facility. So he's got it in a way that there's actually no address on his website. So you can't. unless you basically know him or message him on Instagram. You can't find his private gym. You can't join, which is perfect for me. I trained legs the other day, and it was just me, and there was one other girl in the gym, and I was like, love it. And it's everything is like unique. He's got like Avenger. I don't know if you know the brand Avenger equipment, which is
Minutes.
yeah,
He's got the leg
yeah,
press.
yeah. He's got that the lying leg curl. Just every piece of unique equipment you could think of. You're just like, geez, it's a gym heaven. All the max pump stuff and all that. So I'll connect you. And then if there's anything you are looking for, you're like, I really want this one piece. He most likely can find it and get it out to you.
Oh God, you're gonna bankrupt me.
yeah, bankrupt you in the best way possible.
Yeah,
just lean on Richard. Just say, Richard, give me some, give me something.
yeah. Tell Richard he can buy me some gym kit for Christmas.
Yeah, just say, give me some of that McLaren money. That's kind of what I always say to him. It's cool, man. Like, anything else you want to say or before we go? Anyone you want to say thanks to before we shoot off?
Well, this being the Strom podcast, I would like to thank Richard and Team Strom. I've been a part of Strom. What? I think 2021 was when 21. Yeah, 21 was when I officially came on board, and I have a rule that you do not ask to be sponsored. But I asked. But I mean, I've known Richard a long time. I've used Strom products since they began.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of begged him to sponsor me. For a while, he eventually cracked.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you probably have met Thomas, who runs the New Zealand
Yes.
one, and I met him probably 5 years ago or something now. And he wanted to give me free product and all this stuff, and I said, nah, and I would just pay him or transfer him. It's like, no, And then he said to his work, he's like, no matter what, Logan's not paying. You're gonna smack his card out of his hand. You're gonna give him the product, and then I said to him, look, I'll come on board, but let me work for you in some capacity. What can I do? So we started a podcast, and I run the team and manage the athletes and all that. We do business projects together. So it's really funny, we catch up with Richard all the time. We bust chaps quite a bit. I talk a lot of shit, so he gets used to me, but it's pretty cool having you part of the UK. And like what I said to Richard was, I want to try and connect all the other countries together and, get us a bit closer, because there's things we can learn from the UK. I'm sure there's things you guys can learn from like Oz and New Zealand and the US as well. I'm over in London in March for like a week and a half as well, so I want to drive around and catch up with people and all that stuff. But mate,
Arnold, when are you over? It's the Arnold Classic.
I believe it is. I believe it is the Arnold Classic. So you might be up on
March
stage.
20.
Oh yeah, I will be. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to. We'll have a big Strom meetup.
Yeah, let's have a strong meetup. Yeah, that's it. Perfect timing, actually. There you go. But yeah, man, look, I'll stop recording now so we can wrap up. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been
Thank
great.
you.
We'll have to do more, get some more of the guys on, and yeah, talk soon. But I'll just stop now.